In this tutorial, we'll look at how you can use legato in polyphony using some of the tools within our Kontakt and dedicated plugin libraries. By creating polyphony, we're able to play more than one note at a time, which is a limitation of our legato articulations. In our Kontakt libraries, such as Spitfire symphonic strings, we've built this into the interface. If you go over to the expert view, you'll see that we have a polyphonic legato function here that can be engaged. First, let's have a quick listen to the piece that I've composed without engaging any polyphonic legato. Now let's say I wanted to compose another line underneath an octave lower. I could either create another string part, or we could duplicate the part that we've already made on the same track, which will save us some RAM and CPU load. So if I highlight all the notes by using Command A and then using Command C and V to copy them, and then I can use Shift and Alt and the down arrow to go an octave below. The last thing that we need to do is engage the polyphonic legato, and for this example we're just going to have two voices, but this can be increased further. In order to split the two lines now, what we need to do is have two different velocity layers. So as you can see, I've used quite high velocities in the first level here, and if we go to the octave lower, we can just highlight all of the notes and then decrease the velocity as a whole using the velocity slider here to separate them out. You can find more information on how this works in the knowledge base article linked in the description. Now that we've separated out the velocities, let's have a listen to how it sounds. So that's how you can use polyphonic legato in our Kontakt libraries. Now let's move over to the dedicated plugin libraries that have key switching available, such as BBC Symphony Orchestra. I've loaded up the first violins from the BBC Symphony Orchestra here, and I've also got a part that includes polyphony, but if I just use the standard legato to start off with, this is what it currently sounds like. As you can see, we're only hearing the one layer of notes. So what can we do in the BBC plugin to make sure that we can use polyphony? Well, we can utilise both the long and the legato articulations using key switching. But for this instance, we're not going to use key switching between the different notes like we've used in previous tutorials. In this instance, we're going to use velocity range, which will select our articulation based on the velocity range that we give that articulation. So first off, because we're only using legato and longs, let's use the technique editor to get rid of all the articulations that we're not using, which is going to save us on our memory load or RAM. Once we've got rid of the articulations, we can now focus on the velocity range that we want to cover. Now because the portamento for the strings is triggered by the lower velocity, I'm going to make sure that the legato is using a low velocity level here. So we're going to use 1 to 60. Next up in the longs, we need to also select velocity range, and because we've used 1 to 60, we're going to use 61 to 127, which is the top range here. So now when I play the piece, the higher velocity notes in red here are going to be playing the long articulation, and the lower velocity notes here in purple and blue are going to be playing legato, which means that you're going to be able to hear two notes at the same time. And that just quickly shows how you can use the long and legato articulations in tandem to create polyphony with the legato articulation, which is also good for using double stops with the strings.
Thanks for watching Spitfire clips. Let us know if it was too long, too short, too fast or too slow in the comments down below. Hit like if we answered your question and subscribe for more clips, tips, tricks and exclusive Spitfire content.